I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue about who should get the credit for a 3% economy. That's not the subject of this conversation, gentlemen. We're talking about a tax plan that failed last night in the Senate. And part of the reason is the Democrats refused to govern. Congressman Garamendi, let's talk about this because Garamendi, I apologize. The Democrats have refused to come to the table in terms of voting and agreeing to tax reform, and as a result, the Republicans are forced to have all of these rules around reconciliation. Don't you think the two of you should have gotten together, and all of your colleagues should have gotten together to come up with a real plan for tax reform that you can agree on, since the American people want that? I mean, that's whose fault I want to talk about this morning, not where the 3% came from.
Well, back to the 3%. Let's put that aside for a moment. Let's go to what has actually happened here in the halls of Congress and in the Senate. There has been zero, none, nada, not one hearing on this bill. There have been markups in which the Democrats and the Republicans have proposed amendments. Not one Democratic amendment has been adopted in the House, and I think probably the same thing can be said in the Senate. However, not one hearing, not one discussion about the details of this tax have taken place. Back in the Reagan era, and we want to talk about the Reagan era, about how good it was, it took 2.5 years and more than 30 hearings in the House of Representatives by tax experts, economists, everybody you can think of, talking about the details.
Whose fault is that? Congressman Brat, what do you think? Whose fault is it that you guys cannot get together?
And my friend John, let me get a word in edgewise here. The Democrats actually did have a plan that got 107 votes. It was the Progressive Caucus tax plan. Their plan raised taxes $10 trillion, raised spending $11 trillion, and has more debt and deficit than the Republican plan that cuts taxes. So they did have a plan.
David,
they voted on it.
Let me finish. One of three proposals on the table. Right. It was not the Democratic caucus.
It got the most votes of any Democrat budget plan with 107 votes. Go Google it. Everybody can look it up. So that is the plan. And they're talking about their great concern for the debt and deficit. Well, the deficit is 666 right now. It's bad, billion. And so what we're waiting for the Democrats is to come up with a health plan. We're still living under Obamacare. They don't present a plan. We're doing a tax plan. They had a tax plan that would put you immediately into recession, right?
Well,
it wouldn't be zero growth.
David, that was one of three proposals that were put forward.
You're both going to get voted out.
Caucus.
You're both going to get voted out next year if you don't pass tax reform. It's ridiculous that here we are in the 11th hour, December 1st, and we're still talking about where this tax bill stands. And you can point the fingers all you want, but the two sides needed to get together a long time ago, and you are all culpable for poor relationships, for the fighting, for the whole 9 yards in terms of not coming together to come up with a comprehensive tax plan. And the American people are going to show you that next year.
That is easy enough for you to say sitting where you are. But here in the halls of Congress, let's understand that there has not been one substantive hearing by any tax expert except in a markup, which is not a hearing. That is where you take up amendments.
And whose fault is that?
It is the House Republicans. I suppose the same thing could be said about the Senate. The House of Representatives is controlled by the Republicans. They set the pace. They determine where the hearings are going to be, if at all. They determine who is going to be presenting from their point of view. But there's been no offer of a hearing. There has been no... It's easy to talk about process here, but what is in this bill? What is in this bill is a monumental transfer of wealth from the working men and women
back and forth.
corporations.
These are all talking points.
He's a filibuster, and that's why I can't.